Happy Friday to everybody and good morning to everybody that's joined us for the webinar. Stuart, Sarah, Marcus, just give me a yes if you can hear me nice and clear, and you should be able to see 4 charts as well. Just to let you know, this is YouTube Live and there's typically a 10 to 15 second delay, so if you do have any questions throughout the webinar, please post them in the chat. I will do my very best to answer them, though there may be a little bit of a delay. The purpose of this room is to review the opportunities that meet the rules outlined in the educational material at freeforex.education.co.uk. Let's have a look here. We've got yes, okay, lovely, Stuart. Chris, I was dropping my boss off at the Royal Infirmary in Manchester yesterday and it took me 3 hours round trip to get back to Haydock. Wow. That is that just because of the heat that you've been having in England and there's the traffic? I've been noticing there's not too many people in the chat system, and I'm just wondering if everybody in England is basically out enjoying the weather. Morning, Peter. Arsan, morning to you. So we've had some decent moves in the market, which has resulted in some breakout patterns and some opportunities. It would be nice to put some winners into the well, just into the figures basically, because this week has been pretty terrible for me. So let's we've got quite a bit to go through, so we're going to start off with the Aussie dollar CAD. If anybody has anything on the radar that they want me to take a look at, please let me know. In fact, just before I do that, we did have a question that came through into the Q&A, so I will answer this now. And the question was, I've noticed in your signals that your position sizes vary from trade to trade. I'm assuming that you do larger sizes for strategy stroke pairs that have higher win probabilities. Can you touch on that during the webinar? No, that isn't the reason actually. All it is, I have 4 accounts that I use for trading, 3 mainly, my main, the one that I use for sending signals, and I have a secondary one as well. And I pretty much use all of those 3, so it just depends what account I'm logged in at the time that I do the screenshot. So it could be the one that I use primarily for the signals, I do the screenshot and send that one out, or it might be that I'm logged into the other account and it's that one that I do the screenshot of, which is a higher amount. So it's very rare that I add to a position. I only tend to do that on breakout patterns, but I sometimes do that. But typically no, I have a set position size for the portfolio and for the strategies, and I just do it on I look at making the pips throughout the week. I don't look at different position sizes. So I will delete that question. Hopefully I've answered it fully, and let's bring back over the chat. Stu says traffic and roadworks as usual. Ugh, I hate traffic. I don't miss the traffic in England. Saying that, it's pretty bad here on the island because there's only 2 lanes to the motorway and it's busy now on the island. You know, the last 10 years has really given Tenerife a boost, particularly since all the wars that were going on. You know, we had problems all over the world, and Egypt and loads of places like that, and it stopped tourism for a long time, and people came to Tenerife, and Tenerife did very well as a result of it. Unfortunately, the roads are just chock-a-block and we do see lots of traffic, but 30 minutes is the maximum I tend to see. Let's bring over the Aussie dollar CAD and crack on with these currency pairs. Aussie dollar CAD. So these charts are the ones I still had on from the last webinar, and we did speak about this potential low and tight flag, and it wasn't one I could take. I forget the reason. What was the reason why? Was it a psychological number? There was a reason why I couldn't take this, or maybe it was the reward to risk. But I was looking for a breakout to the downside, a confirmed break below, close below here. We didn't get it, then we pulled back and then we broke out. So not too sure if anybody got involved in this. This was something that was posted within the chat system. Did anybody take that trade? If you did, just give me a yes. No, Peter may have done. I think you was in the chat at that time. Let's go and take a look at the daily time frame here. So structure level on at the very lows just here. and we have had a confirmed break below, close below. I wouldn't be too confident though at playing for a continuation lower here, purely because we're at something like 10 or 11 year lows, and we only did just about make a new low. So this could actually end up being a head and shoulders, though it's not going to be valid for me because we violated structure. And head and shoulders is a rotation pattern, and I do need structure to be held, and we just didn't hold structure. So let's go and take a look at the 240. Okay, you do have, it's not going to be for me, but you had a move higher, a pullback, then we kind of double topped here. Wouldn't be a valid double top for me because we've come down into structure. But we have just been working our way lower here now, and we have now violated this level of structure, which is the outside return. And we're approaching this level of structure just here. So if this is a head and shoulders for you, this is the area that I'd look to get long. And we can look for the usual thing, double bottom, or a 2618, or a head and shoulders down here. I wouldn't look for anything else if you're going to get involved with this, purely because, as I say, this isn't a head and shoulders for me because we violated structure. But if it is for you, then I'd suggest a conservative entry around this level. Let's go and look at the 60. And the 60, we've just been moving quite directionally here. Let's just delete that. We had from our swing high up here, we had a move lower, a pullback, a move lower, and then we had this breakout pattern. When we see these breakout patterns, it's a sign that we're moving very directionally. Then we've had a move lower, a pullback. Now we've had another move lower just here. So if there is still room to the downside for you, then you can simply look for a pullback and look at shorting the market. And yeah, there is a little bit of room here to the downside. Again, this is the wicks. This is the area where I'd look to get targets taken. And you do have a psychological number down here, 9100 as well. So there is an opportunity there for a trend continuation trade, maybe worth 30 pips, something like that for the Aussie dollar CAD. Let's take a quick look at the 15. Yeah, so you guys have had the hottest day on record yesterday in England. Is that correct? Just reading Sky News, they were saying it's been mega hot. It's hot here, but it's not as hot as you guys have in England. It is roasting over there. So any questions on the Aussie dollar CAD? If not, I'm going to move that off to the side and I'm going to bring over the Aussie dollar. Cloudy in Cornwall. Is that where you're from, Pete? I love Cornwall. It's beautiful down there, the countryside. Really nice part of England. Before I delete this off on the Aussie dollar, which was on the 15, I'll just talk through this. This was something we spoke about in the last webinar as well. I said that we have a trend continuation opportunity. It wasn't for me, it wasn't really big enough for trend continuation, and the reward to risk wasn't quite there. But this was the outside return, which was highlighted just here. And I said you can look for a lower close entry. And you could have got involved up here. And as you can see, we rallied down to hit targets. Targets were at this level. Did anybody take this trade? It was not sent out as a signal, wasn't quite big enough, but it just goes to show that the structure winners are out there, because my structure-based trading this week has been it's been diabolical. It's been terrible. Let's go and look at the dailies. Get a bigger perspective as to what's been going on here. Stuart, love Cornwall, can't wait to go again. Yeah, I love Cornwall. Anywhere down south, I love Devon. We have a caravan in England, and usually during the summer holidays I take the kids away for 6 weeks around the south of England, so pretty much anywhere, Devon, Cornwall, literally all over, and we just tour for 6 weeks. Not doing it this year. Going away for a week at the end of August instead. I'll let you know a little bit more about that when we're a bit closer to that time. But yeah, England's beautiful in summer. It's a shame summer pretty much only lasts for 3 months. So here we had a move higher. With this move, we violated the structure level, we saw a pullback, and we saw a move higher again. So we were looking for long opportunities. A little bit of concern here was that we only just made a new high. Please remember, and a repetition here guys, to remember things: long extensions, small pullbacks. Long extensions, small pullbacks. When we see extensions and quite deep pullbacks, and we only just make a new extension and we're seeing deep pullbacks, these are the type of trend continuation opportunities you want to be more cautious of, because this here is a sign that there's not enough buyers to push the market higher, and we tend to see then the sellers kicking in and push the market lower. So this is a lower probability of going up to retest the highs. In actual fact, if you were to get involved, targets for me would be just here on the left shoulder. Go and take a look at the 240. I live in a VW camper. My whole life is a tour. That sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. I love our caravan. It's nice and compact, and the kids absolutely love it. Though my eldest, she's getting a bit too old. Well, a bit too old. She's 13, but she prefers hanging out with the mates rather than coming out with her dad and her mum around England. But Nathan, my son, he still loves it. He's just turned 10, so he's still into the whole fishing, crabbing, bike riding, going to the park kind of thing. He still absolutely loves it. Aussie dollar on the 240 then. Directional move here, guys. Look at the move we've had, and if we put a fib on from our swing high to swing low, this was the only section that hit a 382. Other than that, this has been a directional move from this point all the way down, and it's likely that as we come into this level, we're probably going to see a reaction here. Now the RSI is, we're just leveling out here. We are still oversold. We're just leveling out. I would like to see a break on the RSI of this level as we come into the structure level, and we could look for a small rotation pattern here, because lots and lots of directional moves like this, we tend to see the market run out of steam, and this is for me where we tend to see those double bottoms. And since there's not been a retracement to a 382, you guys know that when we come into a decent level of structure and we haven't had that retracement, typically we do see a retracement up to a 382. If a 382 fib isn't what you're looking at, then this would be the next structure level I would look at taking targets at, or that 382 does come into that level. So a couple of things to watch out there for, which we'll be going into next week now on the Aussie dollar. So Pete, your VW camper van, is it one of those that has the roofs that I think the newer models, correct me if I'm wrong, the actual roof extends out and it's on a couple of poles so you can actually stand up inside of them? The older versions don't have that, do they? Here on the 60 on the Aussie dollar, not a great deal. I'd be waiting for us to come down into that structure level. Go and take a look at the 15. I walk like a hunchback, crawling on all fours. It doesn't help if you're tall. I don't know how tall you are, but if you're tall, yeah, it's not going to do your back any favours. That. Stewie, have you seen the cost of those? They're about well, the last time I checked, they were about 30,000, and that was for like a second-hand one, a couple of years old. Really, really expensive. So I've got nothing here, guys, on the Aussie dollar. If you do, chuck it in the chat, and I will take a look at it. But if not, we'll move on and take a look at another currency pair. Just want to check on my trades. Ooh, we're getting the move on the Euro New Zealand, we're getting the move on the pound dollar, we're getting the move on the Euro Swiss. Am I actually going to see some winners? You got to feel sorry for me and Pete. We were the only ones that didn't bank that. Was it 60 pips on the pound Aussie? We were stopped out for break even. Oh, tough week. Tough week. It'll make for an interesting weekly statistical review. I'm just hoping that we get a couple of these hit targets so I don't have to do a recording that says, well, we lost 200 pips this week. I'd much prefer to do 100. Euro Aussie. Still looking at the market coming lower, guys, based on this head and shoulders. As a minimum, I'm looking for an AB equals CD pattern, so there is still room for the market to come lower here. This is the area that I'd look for shorting opportunities, okay? Because we had 1 point move, a 2 point move, a 3 point move. We're now seeing a pullback, and so this is now the outside return. So anywhere in this zone on the dailies, I can look for the first chance entry, but we've already gone past that. So second chance entry would be a lower low, lower close. Third chance entry would be a rotation pattern up in this level. Let's go and take a look at the 240. Stewie, yeah, they're not cheap. Motorhomes as well. When I was a kid, my parents always had a motorhome, and we travelled all over. Motorhomes now, you know, top of the range, you're looking at it, well, not even top of the range, you're looking at about 100,000. 100 grand for a motorhome. Oh, it's crazy. Don't even get me started on the lodges that they have in the campsites. And if you don't tour, then you have no idea what I'm talking about, but really, really expensive. So, Euro Aussie, we have, ooh, look at that. X to A to B, B to C, CD completion up here for a cipher pattern. And if you wanted to use that cipher as the entry, as an aggressive entry into the trend continuation, or for the head and shoulders, then you have a potential cipher pattern. The problem is cipher patterns here, to come up to the completion, we'd actually have to close above this level. So if we read structure on the 240, then we had this move lower, we saw a pullback. Do that again. We had a pullback, we had a move lower, we had a pullback, and then we had a move lower. Now, we actually spoke about this for quite a period of time, didn't we, guys? This area just here. And we said that we're not going to look for trend continuation, because when we was looking at the market, it was actually like this. And this is the reason why we can't play for trend continuation when we have a retest. Now, we also talked about the RSI. If you remember, we did not have RSI confirmation, so it was not a valid double bottom. But because it's a retest, we don't want to play for trend continuation, because the market is basically double bottoming, and we could see a reversal, particularly at that 15900 psychological number. And then we triple tested. Then we had a break to the upside, and it looks as though we had news that came out here, guys. And this was a valid opportunity to get involved. Was this the currency pair where we were looking for potential head and shoulders as well? We may be able to see this on the 60. Yeah, it was, guys. My memory isn't all that bad. So we spoke about this, and we said that, look, we have this swing in the market here. And you can come down to this point and you can say, okay, we've got a left shoulder, then we've got a double-headed head and shoulders, and we said that we could look for a break above, close above this level, which we did, and we could look then for the entry to the right shoulder. And price actually came up to this level and then came down for the right shoulder, and from that point we've seen the move higher. Another winning head and shoulders that has won without me. I seem to be picking all the losing head and shoulders lately. They are profitable, guys, honestly. So, don't know if anybody got involved with this, but you could have aggressively had the 61.8 limit order set here. This looks like this was as a result of the ECB news the other day, which I did not have any limit orders set for. But if you did get involved in this, well done, because targets for me would have been here. That would have been a 90 pip winner. Let's have a look. Winners are coming. Stay positive. Pete, we need some luck, that's for sure. You know, if you go and take a look at what's happened over the last 2 months, the structure-based trading actually has done very, very poorly, and it's really the breakout patterns that have been keeping us going. And I'm now, I think, 2 months or so, something like that, where Head and Shoulders, which is a very, very profitable strategy for me, just hasn't performed. The trades I've been in have just all lost. And we've had situations like this where we talked about this, and we've had winning Head and Shoulders, but didn't give us the entry. Because we had the news event out on this one, and then you had a big spike down, and then it came all the way back up to this level. So unless you was just aggressive and had a limit order during the news, you just wouldn't have got involved with this. But yeah, this is probably the longest period of time I've gone where the Head and Shoulders just really hasn't performed. That and breakout patterns are my 2 most profitable strategies. So I am waiting for the Head and Shoulders to kick in. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. But did anybody get involved with this? As I say, we did go through this in detail in the webinar, but I never got involved with this. But anyway, I don't think we've got a cipher within this level. No, we don't. So really higher time frame on the dailies, I would be looking for shorting opportunities. But here on the 60, it's not going to provide anything where we can look at getting short. So what I'd really like to see is on the 240, I'd like to see price come all the way up to this level and actually produce a rotation pattern up here. Then target 1s will be here, and then target 2s will be the bigger projection of that AB equals CD pattern down to this level. So any questions on the Euro Aussie, guys? If not, I will move that one out the way, because there are still several currency pairs to go to. Let's bring over the Euro Yen. That is the next one. What did we talk about last time on the Euro Yen? Right, what I will do is I'm just going to drop down to the 5, because you see this here. This was a trade we were in at the beginning of the week. It was a flag pattern which lost, which then went on to win. This will make, if my figures are correct, 3 trades this week that I've personally been in that stopped me out and went on to win. That was the Euro Yen, which I'm going to show you now, which was the flag pattern. The pound yen, which was the wedge pattern. It stopped us out by about 5 pips, went on to win. Then we had the what was the other one? Euro Swiss. No, it wasn't the Euro Swiss. There was another one. Might have been pound dollar. Anyway, there was 3 of them, and we had the pound Aussie as well. And so I'll actually talk about this when I do the review. I don't like to harp on too much about trades that lost and then they went on to win, but it's good to do a review and know why they lost, and could you have placed your stop in a better place. That's why I think it's important to do a review. But anyway, before I delete this information off, this was the flag that we were in. It was something like this. I think it was on the 5 range actually. And what happened is the market came up and double topped. It double topped within the wicks just here. And then the market came up and just stopped us out. And then the market turned and went and hit those targets for that 127. As you can see just down there, it actually went and hit those targets. Actually, no, I'll take that back. We had a new spike here, so we would have been stopped out if we were still in it. So let's go and take a look then at the higher time frame on the Euro Yen. This was the one where we have the big potential flag pattern just here with the directional pole. And we were looking for the usual targets of that 127. Yeah, Marcus says 5 range it was, wasn't it? So we've clearly had the breakout now, and yesterday we saw a big bullish candle. Where did that candle close? Just above that 12100 psychological number. And let's drop down to the 240 time frame. Marcus, no, it was when the ECB press conference started. Yeah, that was for the head and shoulders, wasn't it? So had quite a lot of head and shoulders, as I say, lately, that, you know, we've looked at them later and they've gone on to win. But yeah, couldn't get involved. So here on the euro yen on the 240, well, we double bottomed here, or retested, which concerns me. So playing for a continuation aggressively now would be a concern here. What we have done though is we've come up into this structure level. So this is the first structure level. So let's draw this out. New low, outside return, new low, outside return, new low, outside return, new low, outside return, new low. We are now back up into the outside return, and because we have this big wick, okay, we're trading with inside this wick, but we are back to within the outside return right now. And you have just had a lower low, lower close candle. So this could be an opportunity to get involved for the breakout and the trend continuation. Stops were going 80 hour above the high. We're looking at 25, so that would make 1255. So this would be your risk. I would personally play for a retest of the candle closes just here, and then play for that 127 extension. But as I say, my concern here is that we've double bottomed. So I would need more of a conservative entry up here, particularly since this is a very large pattern as well. What I was hoping for, I don't think it's valid actually. No, it's not. I was hoping that we would see a double top up here, but here on the 60 we've actually violated to the upside. So nothing here, to be honest with you, for me. And I don't think this is a valid pattern, not just yet, not a valid flag pattern. 1, 2, 3, you'd be waiting for the fourth touchdown here anyway. And the problem here is, bigger picture, we're looking at a bearish move, aren't we? In saying that, we could still see a pop to the upside if we put a structure level on here on the 60. Then on the 60 we did violate the outside return. So it's one of those situations where you could wait for price to come down into the wicks down here for the fourth touch, see if you get something like a double bottom, break above, close above 26.18, or a violation of the trend line, and look at getting involved. But right now, nothing here on the euro yen for me. We'll take a quick look at the 15 though. Hey Cody, welcome to the webinar. Still nothing here on the 15 for me. It's a lovely looking directional pole, but yeah, going to wait for the fourth touch and see if it gives us additional confirmation. I mean, this is a lovely structure level just here. If the market was to come into this level, we've got a probability here of seeing a rotation pattern, and just like trend continuation trades where we look for long extensions, small pullbacks, long extensions, small pullbacks, these are higher probability of getting the follow through the extension. And if we put a fib on and we come down to say the 382 in this level, or the 50%, then this would have a higher probability of rallying to that 127 target, because we're seeing a smaller retracement. So can you guys see that flag patterns as well, they work? You can apply the same methodology should I say, into trend continuation, you know, where we look for a small pullback and you look for the bigger extension. So it works the same way. Any questions on the euro yen, guys? I will move it to the side for the time being. Yeah, Asan, it could be a flag. We'll have to wait for the fourth touch and confirmation. But yes, it certainly looks like one, but we do need the confirmation for it. Let's now bring over the euro dollar. In fact, I've got nothing on the euro dollar, guys. I'm not going to bother going over that. There's absolutely nothing for it for me. We'll take a look at the pound Aussie. Well done to everybody that won on the breakout pattern on the pound Aussie. Was it 50, 60 pips you guys earned? It's only me and Pete, I think, that never got our targets hit on it. I don't know why my target wasn't hit. It went up to that structure level, but it just never got filled. Pound Aussie, guys. So it's nice to see that we were probably correct with our big AB equals CD pattern, and that we were correct with our double bottom on one time frame lower, which was just here. But unfortunately, due to the size of this trade, then we weren't able to get involved. It was 150 pips of risk for 400 pips of reward. And we're well on our way to targets now. I was hoping that we were going to get that pullback for the 26.18 and look for an entry, and we just didn't get it. But the trade is not over. There is still 157 pips up for grabs. Marcus says 56. Well done, Marcus. It almost makes up for the Euro Aussie trend continuation trade that I won on and you didn't. So what we're seeing now, though, is we are seeing the market struggle to make new highs. So what we saw is a very decent rally which came up to this point. We only just made a new high, and then shortly after we saw this big wick. So not too much here until we violate this upper level, this wick just here. But our bigger projection, of course, is that the market is going to go higher, and we did have a higher high, higher close when the candle closed at 10 o'clock. Let's take a look at the 60. Here on the 60, not too much. We have just had a retest here, and we've now just had a confirmed break above close above this level. This could actually be a head and shoulders on the lower time frame. Where did that double bottom occur at? Oh, there you go. It occurred at the 17900 psychological number. I did say this last time, but anybody that says psychological numbers don't have any impact on their trading, double bottom that has now been confirmed at that structure level, and we've seen it as well react for targets and stops as well, haven't we? So a couple of tests here where that double bottom was formed. Yeah, nothing else there. Okay, let's take a look at the 15 on this. Well, it's a little bit ugly, but this was your swing in the market. A move lower, a pullback, a move lower, a pullback, a move lower, a move higher. Problem here is that we've almost come into the highs. But if it's still valid for you, look for a pullback into a 61.8 and look at getting long. You could even play for an extension here, maybe up to the highs here at this level. And bigger projection, guys, is obviously we're still looking at the market going higher, aren't we? You know, this still has 150 pips to go until targets are hit. So you could actually then hold second positions for that 38.2 fib. Where's that 38.2 fib gone? There it is. So something like this would be your risk if it's still valid for you. I think this is going to be a little bit too aggressive for me. First targets would certainly be a retest up here, and then hold those second targets all the way up to that level. If not, simply just wait for a violation, another pullback, and see if we start entering trend, because guys, we are moving very, very directionally here, aren't we? So a violation of this level, a pullback, and you know, there's still maybe 50 or 100 pips up for grabs for us to get involved with probably next week now. Any questions on the pound Aussie? If not, I will move it out the way and we will take a look at the pound yen. Did anybody have their stop a bit further back than I did on the pound yen? And did anybody then get their targets hit? For the pound yen, I think this was the trade here. Let's just go and take a quick look at it. Yeah, this was it. So a directional move. I think we was looking at this as a pennant or wedge pattern, whatever you call it. It's irrelevant, just as long as you know how it works. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can see actually we never violated structure. So if I put a structure level on just here at the very lows, then we had this spike that came down, and if you look, we actually held structure. We never actually violated structure. This may have turned into a normal flag pattern. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. But this was a valid pennant pattern, breakout pattern. And as you can see, for those of you that are not involved with the signals, come on chart, then this trade actually went on to win. There was the 127 after just stopping us out. So we've actually had quite a bit of hard luck in the markets, and I hate using that word because the trade either wins or loses. It's part of trading, but yeah, some hard luck on this. I think I took a 21 pip loser on it. Let's go and take a look at the dailies. Yeah, exactly, Cody. You can still look for trend continuation here, guys. Move lower, pull back, move lower, pull back, move lower. Your technical outside return is this big area, but pay close attention to this internal level of structure. And as we drop down to the 240, on the 240, okay. Said, I don't know if you're in the building, and apologies, Said, if that's not how you pronounce your name. Just send me a DM. I do like to get people's names correct. He actually found this flag pattern. So, fairly directional move for the pole. And if we draw it out based on the closes of the candles, and we duplicate it and move it up, and we look for 1, 2, 3, 4 touches, you can see we have a lovely high test candle up in this zone. Problem for me here is if we look at the 240 at the closes of the candles, which is just here, then we never actually violated them, did we, guys? If you look at this, let me clarify that. Okay, we only would look at taking targets just here at the closes of the candles, just above that 13400 psychological number. and we will drop down to the 60-minute in just a second. Okay, so we had that high test candle. You then needed a red candle to get involved with the trade, and this would have been stops an 80-hour above the high, would have been 30, would have taken you to 97. I would have gone 20 pips behind that 13600 psychological number. So you would have been looking at something like this much risk for this much reward, and I think it was a pretty big trade from the look of it. Yeah, 93 pips here. So you can actually then drop down the time frames, maybe to the 60, and look for an opportunity to get short. And if you believe that this is the turning point and the market is going to come lower, then what you had is from this point you had a move lower, a pullback, a move lower, a pullback, a move lower, and now you're seeing a pullback. So anywhere within this outside return, you could look for a shorting opportunity, and we'll take a look at this on the 15. Problem here on the 15, guys, double bottom, retest right here, haven't we? So wouldn't be something that I would look to get involved with now. I would maybe wait for another move lower and another pullback. Let's just go and take a look at the 5 though. Yeah, it's very ugly, isn't it, guys? Very, very ugly. One, 2, 3, 4. When we see flag patterns and low and high and tight flags, it's usually a sign of what, guys? Usually a sign that the market is moving very directionally and usually trending as well. Was this valid? Yeah, this was valid. Came into a 382. Did it come into the wicks? Well, it certainly did. This was on the 5-minute. This occurred at 7 this morning. Anybody get involved with this breakout pattern? You had a nice entry from the look of it. Oh, it's only worth about 14, 15 pips. Yeah, Yuri, continuation exactly. When we start seeing patterns like this, because the poles are very directional, we tend to see breakouts of consolidation, we tend to see trend continuation. It hasn't really happened in this instance because we've got all this garbage just down here. But anybody get involved in that trade? Beautiful example. Came into the wicks, hit the 382, 4 touches either side. Your entry would have been this candle right here, which was the red candle, giving you confirmation that not only the trend line held, but we saw a rejection at that level as well. So I don't think anybody got involved with this, but if you did, well done. We're going to put that to the side as well. Okay, let's move the pound yen out of the way. What are we looking at next? I'm not going to go over the pound dollar, guys, because there's been a signal sent out on this trade and we're waiting for targets to be hit. So unless there's anything in particular you want me to look at, in fact, I'll tell you what I will go over is I'll just run over the trade that we was in where we were stopped out for break even, because bigger picture here, guys, we're still coming lower, and I want to run over this and explain why. Okay, so this is what we were looking at originally, is we had the move lower, the pullback, we had another move lower, and then we were seeing a pullback. And I said that we could see here another test of this structure level just down here. Unless we drop down to the 240, then we got involved in a potential trend line double top. Let's clear this up a little bit. and it was on the 60-minute, and what we did now is we've come back up to this level and we've retested. And if we look at the 240, let me just show you this. So I'm going to put a structure level on just here. So this was the lowest structure level. So we got involved up here, guys, on the 60. Why is my computer running slow? Come on. Okay, just give it a minute. It's either my computer or Ninja. Okay, so we got involved up here on the 60. Here on the 240, see this here? We actually broke below and closed below the structure level. So do we still have a higher probability of the market coming down to this level than not? Give me a yes if you agree, guys. I'll just zoom out a little bit just to give you a little bit of perspective. Yeah, this was the lowest point. We pulled back, we went lower, we pulled back, we came lower, we violated this level of structure and failed to come down to this level. So we still have a high probability of this coming down to hit targets, even though we were stopped out for break even. And I know George was looking for a reason. Was it George? No, I think actually Marcus was looking for a reason to get involved up here, another double top, something like that. And it just didn't provide it. Just didn't provide it, and we're just seeing now the move to the downside. Has anybody got anything on this currency pair? There's going to be no opportunities here for me, but I do think that we will break to the downside and we will eventually hit targets. Shame we were stopped out. Yeah, I got nothing there. Nothing there on that one. Yep, Cody said yep. Okie dokie. New Zealand yen, guys. Let's go and take a look at that. New Zealand yen. I think, although I don't have it here, we also spoke about a trend continuation trade here as well, which we will run through. It looks as though that played out as well. But on the New Zealand yen, we had a move higher, and we actually held this structure level. And a couple of webinars ago, we said we need to be a little bit cautious here because it happened at the 7300 psychological number, and we could be putting in a 3-bar reversal. That's exactly what we have done, and we're now seeing a move to the downside. We take a look at the 240. Cody says my take profit hit was more conservative though. Yeah, well done, Cody. I know a couple of people as well had more conservative targets than I did. So well done to you, because you and a couple of other people have done a lot better than me. Did you also have the pound Aussie hit your targets? Because if you did, then you're probably, not down a great deal this week at all. And it's amazing how just 1 or 2 trades can make the difference of seeing a profitable week and not a profitable week. And 3 trades this week went on to hit targets without us. We were stopped out of the pound dollar, which I was 110 pips up, 7 pips from targets, and just those little things that can really make the difference to your trading. And I don't like to use the word luck, but sometimes there is an element of luck. Sometimes we do just go and hit targets, sometimes we don't. But it is looking as well, guys, like there's more than a 15-second delay at the moment, because I'm rabbiting on here and I'm looking at the screen, and there may be a 30-second delay, so apologies for that. But I'll crack on with doing the review. Just going to take a look at the 60. Not in your portfolio, okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I think my computer's running slow. That's why we're also seeing the delay of about 30 seconds. So we also spoke about this directional move, low and tight flag. breakout, pullback, move lower, pullback, move lower, pullback. Now we're seeing a move lower. If we drop down to the 15, we did actually double top here. This was it right here, double top. You could have then looked for a 26.18, but we did not get the pullback. So this would have provided you a conservative entry with stops like that, playing for a retest of the low, but we never got the pullback for the 26.18. So no trade on that, and no real bigger projection on this currency pair. I would expect price to come a little lower to this zone, but other than that, I don't really have too much on the New Zealand yen. If you do have a question, pop it in the chat and I will be happy to answer it. A few more currency pairs to do, guys. We'll do the New Zealand dollar next. Name of the game, Cody says. Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things. The majority of people this week have done considerably better than I have. They got targets hit on, like you, pound dollar. Most people got the pound Aussie. And I'm hopeful here that we can get a couple of winners out the market before the close of the market this evening. And I think the majority of people will be almost at break even. Unfortunately, I won't. I went out for lunch the other day and said I'm going to have the cheap English breakfast at $3.95. That's exactly what I had. Cheap English breakfast. I didn't deserve the $5.95 one. I was not worthy. So you could be looking here for a move higher. This would be the entire outside return. We could drop down to the 240 and look for internal structure and a chance to get long. Okay. Problem for me here now, guys, is if I was looking for long opportunities on the 240, we had this move to just here, a pullback, then a move higher. So we violated this area, which is where I would have looked for long opportunities. And we also double topped, which is a rotation pattern, which is an indication we're going to go the other way. So there's not going to be too much for me here on the 240. Maybe have an AB equals CD pattern coming down to this area. Doesn't look as though it's coming in at any kind of structure. No, not anything I'm interested in, but we'll take a look at the 60. Cody says, I have a question for people in here who are a part of the signal service. Are you guys taking every trade gives out or just the ones that meet your rules in your portfolio? That's a very good question. And that there will be people that only take breakout patterns. And if they've been taking only breakout patterns since we started, well, they've been doing very, very well. Because as I say, structure trading has been pretty poor. It's been pretty poor. But it won't be like that forever. There will be a time when the structure trading will change, the head and shoulders will kick in, and the breakout patterns will die off. Pete been taking all the trades. If I'm completely honest, just trading breakout patterns, they're so profitable. I've had quite a lot of feedback from people, and I just want to say thank you right now for those people just saying that how much they love the educational material, how clear it's been, how we've actually listed the rules so that they're understandable. And I think on the flag pattern there was something like 12 different things we look at, but they've been listed and we go through them giving lots of different trade examples. And they can be, in a way, quite easy to trade when the information is laid out for you like that. And if you are certainly just a breakout trader, then you've done very well the last few months. You know, with news events, I mean, we look at the ECB press conference the other day. It's produced lots of flagpoles, and today I'm in 2 breakout patterns. And we had the pound Aussie that hit the other day. The pound yen did go on to hit, but just stopped us out. So they are very, very profitable. And there may be a time when I say to myself that, you know what, I just don't want to be in more than one trade a day, or even three trades a week, and I'm only going to take breakout patterns on the 60-minute. And what I can then do is probably just increase the position size. I may be able to double or triple my position size just for the breakout patterns, and only trade them, because that strategy is so good. Wouldn't you guys agree? High and low and tight flags, there's been loads of those lately, and they've been doing very well as well, and there's been multiple that have gone on to win that we've not been able to get involved with. Wedge patterns, triangles, flag patterns themselves have been a little bit up and down, but breakout patterns have been fantastic. And I think within the educational material, just those rules took a long time for me to put together, going back, testing them, what works best, what doesn't. And what really helped was having a better understanding of structure than I ever had before, because that really helps to put things into perspective. Let's have a look. Pete, a separate account for the signals to see how they perform. Sarah, most trades, others, and that I find. Sarah's Hawkeyes. She's been spotting breakout patterns all over the place. Cody, do you have a separate portfolio for your trades taking? And Chris is just curious on how people are going to go out. Sorry to stop the video. I can continue. No, it's fine. Don't worry, Cody. I'll let other people answer. Yuri, Stain River is the best. Stain River is the best. Cody, never mind, sorry, just saw you answered that, Pete, thanks. Okay, so New Zealand dollar then. New Zealand dollar. Not a great deal. Let's look at the 15. Not too much, guys, to be honest with you. Nothing that I'm really that interested in. This was another breakout pattern just here. Very directional move. This was a low and tight flag. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see we broke out now and have probably hit those targets. Almost hit those targets. So breakout patterns, flag patterns, doing very, very well. Just had a low and tight hit targets on the New Zealand dollar. Well done, well done. And Sarah, I asked her this question the other day. She said that until she joined the platform, she didn't really know what breakout patterns were, didn't know how they work, didn't know the rules for them. And I think what's quite important is that from every trader, the rules are always going to be slightly different. And every company you go to or every trader, the rules are just slightly different, and it's based on what they've tested and what they found to be the most profitable. And I think that the rules that we have here are quite clear, but they keep us out of those lower probability trades. And I think that's the important thing, and that's why the win rate on some of them is so high. Yeah, so I'm really loving the breakout patterns. Well done to Sarah for being in the New Zealand dollar trade. I think it was only a small trade. What did you bank? Maybe 15, 16 pips, something like that. But it's 15 or 16 pips more than I have. Dollar yen. Let's take a look at the dollar yen. We'll make this last one, guys. 15. As I say, it's 15 pips more than I have. Take a look at the daily. And if you do have any questions, now's the time to put them in the chat, because we will be making this the last one. We had a move lower, a pullback, a move lower, a pullback, a move lower. We saw a pullback, and I think we violated. Yep, we had a confirmed break above, close above this level right here. So potential rotation here. Then we saw a pullback, and we're potentially now seeing a move up to the close of the candles just here. Take a look at the 240. Directional pole, sideways movement. First signs of a breakout pattern. Let's go to the 60. Okay, here on the 60. So just give me a yes if you guys agree that breakout patterns are far more profitable than, say, bat ciphers and Gartleys. And do you prefer them? I know a lot of people do, but just give me a yes if you do. I know I certainly do. 1, 2, 3. You'd be looking for a fourth touch down here. Where could this turn? Well, we know it needs to be a minimum of a 382. So we have some wicks here that we could see price come into. We have this a little lower down here. So we have a few levels here. So we could actually see multiple tests here. We could see another test and another move down into the structure level. So I wouldn't be too eager about getting involved in this trade on the fourth touch because it didn't come into structure. So I would wait for a fifth or even at the sixth touch down here and look at getting involved a little bit lower. Just wait for a bit more confirmation on that trade. That's probably taking us into next week, that one. Cody, it's ugly. Yeah, this is a bit ugly if I'm honest. I'm not too keen on that trade, but if it meets the rules, we'll wait and see what happens. We come into structure. Yep, lots of people agreeing. Yep. Much prefer the breakout patterns. It's good to see. Did anybody take the Euro Swissy trade? By the way, this is a trade. I'm in this breakout pattern. This is a triangle. I know a few people were a little bit concerned that we were within this upper structure level here. So I did a video on this one and sent it out, just giving my personal view as to why I think we could go higher. So did anybody take this? And one thing that you guys will be picking up on by now is the longer the pole, the further back the targets are. So I'm just going to put this 127 on. I will drop down to the 15 actually because the pole is on the 15. So this here is the swing in the market. This is the start of the pole for me. It is not this level down here. And there will be multiple times when we just tap that 127 and reverse, and you do need to make sure you pick the start of the pole correctly. And this is the triangle right here. So here's the 127 right now. I'm going to put a structure level on just here. And if this pole was smaller, the targets reduce. So it's great when we have big news events that are coming up, and we have multiple news events throughout the month. We had the ECB the other day, which caused this pole. And yeah, the great thing about it is that the longer the pole, the further back the target is, and that does wonders for your reward to risk. What you'll also find is that if this happens on the higher time frame, like the 60, is that we do tend to get retests or double bottoms, which means that you can have a very small amount of risk sometimes and a beautiful reward like this. And this just plays into those higher time frame, longer pole breakout patterns. Marcus, nope, wasn't one for you. That's fair enough. I understand the reasons why. So guys, that's the last currency pair really. Any questions? Any questions? I will just bring over the pound New Zealand. Curse it, curse it. This was the 500 pip move. It is around halfway to targets. Still got 262 pips to go. So we do not wash our hands of the trade just yet because we are coming into previous structure. We could see a move down into the structure level, we can still get involved with this head and shoulders. And in actual fact, would that give us an AB equals CD pattern by any chance? No, it falls a little bit short, but just because we missed our optimum entry doesn't mean that we can't still get involved with the trade. Bigger picture is we have the cipher, we have structure, we have a potential trend rotation. Next week, we still have the potential for me to earn back all the pips I've lost this week on that single trade. So, I want to thank you for joining me for the webinar. It's been a quiet week within the chat, I will say that, and I think the good weather has kept people away, or it's just my trading. But thanks for joining me. I'm going to have a few hours away from the chart. I will be doing the weekly statistical review once I have these 3 trades that go on to hit targets, so I can prove to people that even though we've taken multiple losses, we can still make pips, and it'll be an interesting one, so I'd listen out for that. But apart from that, guys, thanks for joining me. Have a great Friday. If you have any questions, just pop them in the chat or send me a DM and I will get around to them when I can.